eating something they're calling Chinese food. Oh, darling, why don't we order some Chinese food? Today we would say Chinese food. She says Chinese food because to Mary Richards, eating this Chinese food was kind of new. So for her, it's kind of like, look, Mom, it's Chinese food. We say, look, it's Chinese food because to us, really, it's a compound. It's one word in its way. And that's something that's done just with the accent. Then accent also can change a word's part of speech. And so on the one hand, we can do that kind of thing with an affix. Happy is an adjective. Happiness is a noun. We did it with the ness. You can have pressure, and that's a noun. You can pressurize something, and that makes it into a verb with the eyes. That's not the only way that we do this sort of thing, however. You can take a verb that has the accent on the second syllable, and if you then put the accent on the first syllable, you have created a noun. Think about this. I'm going to outlaw that practice. Anybody who does that from now on is an outlaw. You wouldn't say anyone who does that from now on is an outlaw. That's, frankly, that person had a stroke. It's an outlaw. And that's not only with outlaw. I'm going to rebel against this rule, and therefore I'm going to become a rebel. No, I'm going to become a rebel. Or, for example, I'm going to record this lecture, and then I'll have a record of it. No, I'll have a record of it. And so that stress shift is a way of making a word into a different part of speech, if you will. And what that means is that accent shift is a morpheme. So a morpheme can be many things. It's a unit of meaning. It can change a verb into a noun. That means it's a new word. So there's clearly a new morpheme. And so that's something that you can do in a morphemic way. It's different from just the affixes. And finally, a morpheme can just be a changed vowel. And so I come to the zoo, I came to the zoo. Well, you didn't come to the zoo, you can't do that. So where's the morpheme? Well, it was that change from the O to the ah. And so come and then came. That's the way that works. And so a morpheme can be an affix, it can be an accent shift, it can be just a change of vowel. The crucial aspect of it is that a morpheme is a unit of meaning. Now, of course, the vast majority of units of meaning in any language are things like nouns and verbs that can stand alone, not to mention your prepositions, adverbs, conjunctions, and everything else. But then there's also a large class of morphemes that are, in our language, bound, and they are the various affixes. Then there are morphemes that are just a matter of changing a vowel. There are morphemes that are a matter of changing accent. All of these things are units of meaning. And the overlap between the concept of unit of meaning and word, as you can see, is highly approximate. People study this, and when they study it, it is called morphology. The study of how morphemes work is called morphology. And in practice, morphology focuses more on the morphemes that help grammar along rather than the morphemes that just describe an action or describe a person, place, or thing. And so morphology is much more about the past marker, about the accent shift and things like that, than it is about hunt, fish, chair, dog, rain. And so that's morphology. In shorthand, you can think of it as the study of endings and prefixes, affixes, but really that's kind of a Eurocentric way of looking at it because in many languages what's done with affixes is done with free morphemes, and nevertheless the same sorts of functions are being carried out with the same sorts of processes and exceptions and things like that. And etymology, which is the way we might, as laymen, think of how you would study words, is actually a matter of how words' meanings change over time. And to the extent that etymology is studied by modern linguists, it would fall under the rubric of the study of language change, historical linguistics. So when we're studying words from the point of view of the modern theoretical linguist, what we're looking at is morphemes and how they interact with one another. And now that we've taken a look at that, let's take it to the next level.